Hey everyone, and welcome back. So today's video is going to be a little different because we're not going to be talking about a Nintendo Switch game, but rather a brand new Game Boy Color game that was released in 2023 that has been commissioned by none other than McDonald's. And that game is Grimace's Birthday. Now, I know for some of you out there, this might be old news, but stick with me for just a second because the reason I want to talk about this again is the fact that we can now pick up a physical version of Grimace's Birthday for under $5. Now, before we get into the nitty gritty, this isn't an official copy, but nonetheless, it is something that I find super cool to pick up at such a low price. And by the way, I can confirm it works perfectly on original hardware. So today we're going to jump into what exactly Grimace's Birthday is, where you can pick up the physical copy, and even a few more surprises. So as we jump in, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you aren't already. We're on that road to 20,000 subscribers. Let's get there as quick as possible. Now, to kick off things for today, I want to talk a little bit about the game itself, because we actually played it on stream the week it released, and I'll be playing some footage of that for you right now. Now, although the game itself, I would say, is pretty straightforward and simple, and on its easiest difficulty level can be played in under 15 minutes, it is nonetheless a very well-made game. And although I would definitely not call its hardest difficulty level challenging, it nonetheless adds a little bit of spice to the gameplay and definitely shows you that the developers of the game were thinking about the gameplay process as they were building this game. Now, the game is split into two different levels, each having two different subsections. And those first two levels have you riding a skateboard and has a gameplay style that is very reminiscent of an autorunner. However, as soon as you hit that second sub-level, there is a nice spin to it where it's a non-linear level design. And when you fall into the first subsection of the second level, the gameplay shifts to that of a standard action platformer. Now in this section, you'll be dodging various enemies and using trampoline mechanics. And then we get to the last subsection of the game, which has Grimace riding around in a floating bubble. And this time around, the game mechanics feel very akin to that of Flappy Bird. Now there is one last little subsection of the game for those chasing a high score, where you have to blow out as many of Grimace's candles as possible before the timer runs out. However, even if you do nothing in this section of the game, you still get to the ending. Now, although this game doesn't end up being very long, as I pointed to earlier, what's great to see here is all the gameplay mechanics seem very well thought out. And most likely, with the budget McDonald's gave them for the commission, this was what the developer could develop in the time they were given. And nonetheless, you know what? I am very impressed with what's delivered. It's a fun little playthrough. Now, before going any further, let's just confirm that this does work perfectly on original hardware. Now, this is a Game Boy Color that we modded not too long ago. So although this is an original reshell and we did put in an IPS display, this is original hardware. It doesn't play anything other than original Game Boy Color games. Now, let's just pop in that cartridge, and I am going to be putting the volume as high as I can. However, I don't know how much of it is actually going to go through the microphone, but what we're going to do is we're just going to play through the first level of the game. So now let's start her up, and as you can see, we're getting the Game Boy Color logo, the license by McDonald's, Cruel Toys, everything is starting up perfectly. And something that I didn't point to when I did the description of the game is the fact that the soundtrack to this game, I actually love it. It's an original rendition of the McDonald's theme. Obviously, using Game Boy hardware, I think that they did the best they could, but it actually works really great with the gameplay, and it's actually a pretty decent rendition as well. So as you see, we have a free skate mode, we have the credits, we have a score attack, and we can start the game. So as I said earlier, let's just start the game, play through that first level. Here, like I said, you have hard mode, as I explained earlier. It does turn off the auto grind, and normal mode is with the auto grind on. Since I'm sort of playing arms out on camera, honestly, we're just going to take the normal mode. The point really isn't to show off any skill here, it's just to show you that the cart works perfectly. Now we get a little intro here to explain to you what the game's all about, why Grimace has to exactly go through these different levels. It's actually really well done with some pretty good pixel art. So now we're starting up, and we are in level 1-1. As I said, there are there are 2 main levels divided up into 2 parts each. So basically all you have to do is pick up as many shakes as you can, all the while dodging the trash that's on the ground, which are McDonald cups. Level is pretty simple, as I said, for the first one. Of course, if you're going for 100% of the milkshakes, however, it does add in a little bit of difficulty. Here I hit one by mistake. So basically, it eats up a little bit of time. By the way, there are no lives or hit points here. Grimace cannot die in this game. So like I said, we're not going for shakes today. We're just basically showing off the hardware and showing that the game runs great on original hardware. And boom, our first level 1-1 is done. Now, I'm going to turn off the Game Boy from here on out. You would normally jump straight into level 2, but just for confirmation, I've played through the whole game. It works all from A through Z. Now, just before we actually jump to where you can pick this up, I thought some of you would like to see the board on the inside of the cartridge. So we're going to just take it apart really quickly. And I also did want to mention that where I actually picked it up from, they gave me the Game Boy protective case here, along with the game included at that under $5 price point. And if you try to pick these up on their own, they're sometimes worth like $1 or $2 a piece, even when they're not official ones, which is a really good thing. Now, by the way, this was not a safety lock screw. This was just a regular tri-wing screw that they had here on the game. We basically slide this down and we'll have access to the board. Now, honestly, I forgot to mention, they used that really awesome image that McDonald's put out with Grimace on a 90s sports car with a Grimace shake on the hood. I freaking love this image. It's so like 90s ghetto that it really works great with this game. Now, if we look at the inside components here, honestly, it's a super simple setup with only 3 major components, one of which we can't actually see here. Now, the first component here is 64 megabytes of flash memory here. Now, from what I was able to pull up on the specs of the chip, theoretically, this should be reprogrammable. Now, honestly, at the price you're getting this, if you're looking for an easily reprogrammable Game Boy cart, this could maybe be an option. The problem is I don't have a Game Boy dumper anymore, so I wasn't able to confirm that it is reprogrammable, although the schematics say it should be. If you do have one and you do test it out with this cart, let us know down in the comments down below. You might help out some other people. Then we've got a chip that is basically 256 kilobytes of SRAM, basically makes the game run. These are the 2 essential components. And lastly, what is covered up here, and this is something that manufacturers do to sort of get around often copyright and whatnot. In my opinion, this is basically the ROM chip that is letting the Game Boy Color think that this is an official Game Boy game. And they cover it up here just to not get around sort of copyright, because there's really no way to get to this component without destroying the chip underneath. So that's pretty much it for our close-up section. Let's take a look at where you can pick this up and also a few little other tidbits of interesting information here. So now let's talk about where you can actually pick the game up. And it's as simple as AliExpress. Now, by the way, this is not a sponsored video. I'll be leaving a link down below, but it's not even an affiliate link. It's just a regular link to the actual cartridge I purchased. So obviously these aren't official versions of the game, but since the ROM isn't even officially launched and you can't really pick it up anywhere else, I mean, you know, this is the only way to get this, and I do find that this is a pretty cool use of reprogrammable Game Boy cartridges. Now, all you need to do is come and type Grimace's birthday. You'll have a bunch of stuff pop up. You even have plushy versions of Grimace himself and different versions of the cartridge. Now, the one I specifically picked up is from Retro World Cartridge Store. Now, I've dealt with them in the past. I've picked up other fake versions of Game Boy games to give as joke gifts to people and stuff like that. And basically, as you can see here, a copy of the game is only $4.17, with delivery starting at $1.50. Obviously, if you want faster delivery, you'll have to pay a little bit more, like an extra $1 or $2. So what I would suggest is if ever you have friends that might like a copy as well, get 2 or 3 copies at once. Generally, it pops up the shipping like 50 cents, and you can get a faster delivery. Now, I took the cheapo delivery. Just to be honest, it took about 2 months to get here. So if you are going the cheapo route, make sure you're ready to wait quite a while for your cartridge. Now, as I said down below, I will be leaving a link of this in the description of the video, but it's not an affiliate link, so if you want to go and type it in for yourself, just go right ahead. Now, there is one last thing I want to do before we end today's video, and that is take a look at the itch.io page of the people that made the game, because there is a little bit of interesting information here. Now, first of all, if we go down to the comments, people are asking for the download, and even the game designer of the game himself answered that unfortunately they cannot release an official ROM of this since McDonald's paid for this to be a game playable through their website. However, even as he states himself in the comments, all you need to do is go to Internet Archives and search up the game. By the way, and he even specifies that the latest version is 1.7. That's the one I downloaded when I played it online with all of you during my stream. And once again, as a little extra, I'll put the link straight down below in the description of the video. Now, there is a second bit of information that I want to give all of you, and it's something that we might touch on again in the future. And that's if we go to the itch page of the game designer himself. I've got to say, this guy has a lot of other free downloads I suggest you check out. He has some other full games available for download, like Super Jacked Up Tomato Face, My Dinner with Andre, and these are things I might want to check out in the future. But he even has a Handheld Legends logo ROM that, by the way, kudos to Handheld Legends, let him release for free, where you can actually customize the logo yourself, and that's for showing off the logo on a Game Boy screen after you mod it. But not only that, he's even got asset packs if you're looking into trying to make your own Game Boy games yourself. Just overall, a really interesting itch.io page, and I really like what this game developer has been doing. So you know what, I just wanted to give him a link in today's video. So that's pretty much it for today. Now let me know in the comments down below, are you going to be picking up a physical version of Grimace's birthday, or are you at least going to be downloading the ROM and trying it out for yourself? Personally, I find it super interesting that companies are actually commissioning brand new Game Boy Color games in 2023. It's really a great way to connect with that 90s audience. Now don't forget on the way out that if you did like the video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you aren't already, and click on that notification bell so you know when all my future content comes out. And as usual, hope I'll see you in my next video.